So I was walking my dogs today, and while I was walking them, the Lord dropped in my spirit it had to happen. And when He dropped it in my spirit, I immediately knew what He was speaking of. 5 years ago, 2019, I moved to Georgia. I took everything that I could fit in my truck and I moved down here by myself with my dog. And 3 months later, a worldwide pandemic had happened. Now, when I left Baltimore, it's important to note I left all of my family, all of my friends. I left betrayed. I left rejected. I left wounded. I left uncertain. I didn't know what to expect, but I left. Moved here, tried to settle in as best I could, and a pandemic happened. All while dealing with my own war on the inside, all while processing the move, processing the transition, which was extremely, extremely difficult. And so now I am now navigating my own war, internal war, and I'm navigating trying to keep myself safe, working in healthcare from a virus that we did not even know what was going to happen. In that process of being here alone while a pandemic is happening, while trying to heal, I started to lean into God. When I realized there was nobody to call, there was no one to soothe me, it was me and God. I had one or two people that I was still very connected to, and I'm so thankful for them. But in totality, it was me and God. And I'm not even going to lie, I didn't even know if I was going to make it. I didn't know if I was going to make it because my nervous system, the traumatic experiences that I had dealt with prior to coming here, it's nobody but God that I am still here. And so as I'm walking, He was like, it had to happen. And I'm like, that was a lot, God, by myself. But when I think about it now in 2025, where I am, where my heart is, where my emotional health is, like, it was only God. Sometimes you have to be isolated. Sometimes you have to get away from all that you know, from all that is familiar, from all that is safe, and you have to go with God. That wasn't my intent though. Like, I didn't know that all this stuff was going to take place, but it did. But it ultimately brought me closer to God. I am not who I was 2019 before I left. I'm not the same person. I am somebody completely different. And I owe it to the Most High. And so when He said it had to happen, I was like, ooh, okay. But when I think about it in totality and where I am now, it definitely had to happen. I wouldn't, as life-changing and life-altering as that season was for me, I honestly wouldn't change it. I would not change it for anything in this world because I am no longer the same. What God is doing for me in this season, in this year 2025, no matter what's going on in the political party, like, I don't care what all that's about. No matter, that issue is an issue in and of itself, but God has put me in a position that only He could. And where I am now and where I am going, despite the distractions in the world, only God could have done it. but also he couldn't do it in the state that I was in. Like the mental state that I was in was crazy. Okay. My desire and my heart's desire and my goal is to write a book about everything, because it's book worthy. And whenever God releases me to do it, I will do it. But it's some heavy, heavy stuff. But I want you all to know that you're looking at a miracle. Because if it were not for God, I wouldn't be making this video today in 2025. So, but to the point where I am now and what he is doing couldn't have happened any sooner. But it's happening in divine timing. And whoever this is for, it does get better. It gets easier, but it only gets better and it only gets easier with God. I'm sorry, that's it. That's the only way it's going to get better, is with him. And sometimes, I don't know if you're in a season of isolation or abandonment or rejection, or, you know, your life is falling apart. I don't know what it is. But God said it had to happen. And so I'm just grateful. I'm so grateful. And I wish I could share more of my story. I will in time. God's timing is impeccable. And so when he releases me to share my story, I'll share it. But in the meantime, I heard someone say, it gets greater later. I am a witness. I am a testimony. You haven't even heard the best part. But if you're in a season of detriment, turmoil, don't know which way to go, don't know what to do, your family left you, rejected you, your husband, your wife walked out on you, you don't have a job, like, I don't care what it is. It does get greater later. And it also had to happen. I love you.